right, I think we are ready to rock and roll. Hello, fellow Sublime Text Fanatics. OdatNurd here, aka Terrence. Welcome to this, what appears to be the second to last live stream for November. And keep in mind that starting in December, for my Devember project, once a day, every day for the entire month of December, I'll be doing a live stream every night. Working on my November project. Those will be 1 hour videos instead of 1 hour minimum videos instead of 2 hour videos to fulfill my November requirement for writing a blog about what I did by just recording what I did while I'm doing it. And fingers crossed that goes off without a hitch. Should also point out that there's a windstorm expected rolling in. So if this just suddenly cuts in the middle of nothing, my power went out, for which I greatly apologize. But enough of all that. Let's jump on in because we got stuff to do tonight in this stream. As always, remember you can subscribe to this channel or my other channel depending on whether you want to see live stream videos, regular tutorial videos, or a mix of both of them. I should also point out that because of the live stream schedule that's been going on and crazy end of year deadlines at work as everybody tries desperately to push their project through before the year-end code freeze, time has been at a bit of a premium as of late, which is why there haven't been any videos on the main channel, and that's not going to change going into December when code freeze doesn't happen until halfway through. And also, I'm going to be spending my free time every night working on my November project and doing live streams. But look forward to, fingers crossed, videos coming in the new year on the other channel, trying to pick up the schedule again, including, again, fingers crossed, the beginnings of the package development tutorial series as a whole. And I think that's all I have to say about that stuff. And also, this stream, which is generally scheduled to be 2 hours, possibly may go short. And the reason for that is that the ostensible goal for this evening is to start the work on converting HyperHelp into an actual dependency instead of just a package the way it is currently. There's a few things I want to get out of the way before I do that because we're going to spawn, we're going to spawn off a sandbox environment and a separate clone of the repository in order to do that, so I can continue to work with things and it's no doubt going to break, and I want to have those done so I can work on some other HyperHelp related things. So once those are done and we perform all the necessary preparations to get ourselves going on creating a dependency, if there's not quite enough time left in the stream to start, we're going to leave that by the wayside and stop a little bit early because I would rather not try to stop in the middle of something as complex as turning this thing into a dependency. And Wednesday's video will be the last video on this. With luck, we finish everything early tonight and can get started on that, and then we can see what we can do the last November live stream, the next November stream on Wednesday, to maybe finish up as much as possible that bootstrap process. I do have a repository to be able to do that, which is this one here. Well, in the Sublime Scraps repository on the Stealthy and Hasty organization. I created this way back as the bootstrapping package example for HyperHelp itself, and then I never really got a chance to implement it because I got busy doing other stuff. So that's something to refer to. So at some level, a lot of the work that needs to be done and the research that has to have been done to figure out how to do this is more or less already done, but it has been a while since I looked at that. So with luck, if what we don't finish tonight, we finish on Wednesday. That said, if we don't finish it on Wednesday, and I'll touch on this again on the Wednesday video, there's a possibility that when the live streams pick up again, the normal once weekly live stream in January, starting in the new year, I may have already, if I had free time anywhere throughout December, finished the bootstrap, because I don't want to leave the package in that state any longer than strictly necessary because I use it all the time. So what are the things that we want to get done before we roll into this? I'm going to fire up Yon Timer and say the first thing that we want to do, and if you remember, if I smudge up the repository here and wish that I hadn't done that, there. This is the history extensions branch from last week. Now you can see I rebased the syntax tweaks branch from a few streams back onto the new master to get all of the stuff. And if I do this, we can see that primarily the differences are um, there is a new help header anchor type that shows in the symbol list, and help headers that show in the symbol list. And the help syntax was changed slightly. So instead of being, as you can see here on the left, just a long series of, well, maybe we could see on the left if there were quite so many changes. What we've done is, instead of having a lot of just top level match rules, they've been all moved into these include segments and their own context, just to make that a little easier to read. I still need to do a lot of work on the syntax, more work perhaps on the new ability of the system to have header comments or header anchors. As a matter of fact, what I should do is check out the branch syntax tweaks right now to make sure that's here. We'll go ahead and undo the dumb thing that I did there. And there we can see, if you remember, our ability to have the title of the page in the symbol list and be able to jump there no matter where we are in the file. But also, we have other functionality here. If I pick edit this help file, instead of doing it this way, we can say this. If I could type, my keyboard is all weird. View class, and then just like so. And we'll see if this still works, because it has been a little bit since I looked at it. And if we were to come back over here, now, I VIEW colon. It's not quite as long as all that. There we go. So that looks like a head. It's got this anchor type thing here. You can see that actually is an anchor now, and it shows up in this, so we can create a table of contents. And just for those that haven't seen this particular functionality, you can also use 2 or even 3 of those, and then here they look the same. They just act as anchors. Those lines aren't too long enough, but that's okay. But here in the symbol list, you see an actual table of contents for those things. So one of the things, that's one of the syntax tweak features. Whoops. Get that back to the way it was. That were added to this branch. I want to do a little bit more with that. The punctuation characters should be perhaps a different scope. That's neither here nor there. What we do want to do is swap how anchors work a little bit. And gotta stop using the wrong thing. Jump to user and test help file. Okay, which I believe I still have loaded down here. Now, the way anchors and links currently work, if as a matter of fact, we probably want to have the syntax open here. See, an anchor is an asterisk followed by something that's not anything that's not an asterisk, or a pipe character, or space, or this is the Unicode character for a non-breaking space, and then followed by more characters. Hidden anchors work the same. Essentially, what this means is, and in order to see this, what we were going to do is that and open this file. So now it's just a plain text syntax. So if I said, we're going to put all of the test examples that we want in here, and then we're going to see how they don't work the way one might expect. So there is just a ID colon anchor text, say, and it's important that there be a space in there. There's just colon anchor text. Again, important there should be space there. Something that you can't do currently is some text. Something else you can't do currently is ID some text. And also just colon some text like so. Those are anchors. We are going to copy those, and let's see, those should all go like so. There, these are going to be what would be referred to as hidden anchors, the kind that we saw in the view header up there. They're still treated as anchors, but they don't have the syntax associated with them, so you don't see them. And the same thing can also, to some degree or other, also be done for links instead, only there needs to be more colons. So it would be package ID text and colon anchor text, and just some text to link to the topic with the ID of some text in the current package. And that one would be colon ID, and this would be colon some text like so. And then the rest of this stuff, and this stuff down here might actually still be here. So we're gonna leave that for the time being. Sorry, we'll leave that one for the time being as well. And now I'm going to come back up, add that character, and close and reopen the file. Now you can see if I load this here, that anchor works, and this one, none of these seem to have been treated as anchors. There might actually be one missing there, but that's neither here nor there for the purposes of testing. Um, and the reason for that is this. If you notice, if I select the right view and do that, you can see a dot in there, and in there, all of those white space characters are rendered as dots. But down here in the link where it works, there isn't one there, and that's because it's a non-breaking space like that. This is one of sort of a rolling set of changes. When HyperHelp first started, you could create an anchor. Anchors couldn't have any spaces in them at all because it makes the syntax ambiguous. It stops you from being able to do stuff like this. The product of 3 times 2 is 6, because the star would be interpreted as the start of an anchor, which is not what you want to have happen, obviously. And similarly, links sort of followed on in the same tactic. And I thought, well, originally, I don't know how we're going to use this. Maybe we use dots or underscores in there. Didn't like that. Thought, well, could I do here? Spaces are out of the question, but perhaps we could do something like a tab character. Set the tab width to 1, and then insert tabs where you want it to be a space. Which worked. It was a bit of a pain for editing purposes because the files would just jump wildly because the tab size would be bigger when you're editing than it is when you're viewing. And then I moved on to the idea of the non-breaking space, which, remember, the Unicode character for that is this one right here, which works great, as we can see. But you'll notice when I'm editing the help file and I type star, it automatically auto pairs because of key bindings in the authoring tools. I can type some text, and it has automatically known to do that. Now, if I type some text, I can still auto pair it, but now it doesn't think it's an anchor, and you got to come and remove all spaces and then insert, which is not something we want. Now, I actually have an idea for this is actually something I was sort of playing around with before as a way to resolve this particular issue. and that is this code block links anchors. So if this says if we match an actual anchor, then use those scopes on the characters, which would be, the starting punctuation, the actual text of whatever's in there, and then the um, punctuation at the end. And we currently have these stupid string unquoted things crammed in here. And then there's also a hidden anchor that works the same way. I guess for our test purposes here, we could say 1, 2, 3. Also, unlike Markdown, we allow white space prior to these. Markdown doesn't allow that because white space leading is special in Markdown for the purposes of knowing where code blocks are and stuff. But I personally prefer in my help files to have the level 2 and 3 items. Probably should be scoping the new line on those, but that is perhaps neither here nor there. But I like to do that instead. So here's my thought, and for just temporary purposes, we're going to comment that out. So now all of the anchors are broken, including that one. Now, what if we said this? What if we said match the regular expression an asterisk followed by I believe like so. Look ahead. Anything that's either a word character or a colon. So if there's an asterisk followed by any upper or lowercase letter or an underscore or a colon, which I imagine is not a word character because life would be terrible, then what we want to do is we're going to scope that as string dot unquoted and punctuation dot anchor dot begin. Same as that, with that dumb scope in there. The question mark equals makes this a forward look ahead assertion that asserts that this only matches this character when it's followed by this, but this isn't part of what's captured. This input isn't consumed by this regular expression. And then we would push into a new subscope where the meta content scope is meta.anchor, because that's what the body of the anchor is supposed to be. And inside this, we have a match rule that says if we find a literal asterisk such as that, then scope that as string dot unquoted and punctuation dot anchor dot end and pop back out. And if I did that right, it probably would have syntax highlighted things properly. Haha, I forgot. The Metascope has to have string dot unquoted as well. So now everything, or almost everything, those ones aren't captured because they are hidden anchors. But now this is treated as a valid anchor, and that, and all of those, and the ones down, that one still is. That's still ignored. So basically what we're saying is there can be white space in an anchor, but it can't be prefixed white space. You can't say star space Bob. It has to be star Bob. I think that should be a good thing. The leading text on an ID isn't something that's technically what anybody wants, because it would require people that are linking to it to also put the white space in there unless we make things smarter. And, as I said in many videos, this is a sort of an iterative process. So that actually takes care of those rules right there. So we can take that out. And we can also do the exact same thing again, and this, I'll just copy this for the hidden anchors, only now it matches an asterisk followed by a pipe, and it needs to match a vertical pipe followed by an asterisk to pop out. And this should be anchor hidden begin, and this should be anchor hidden end, and the body is meta anchor hidden. So we want hidden in those and dot hidden in that. And now the hidden anchors automatically highlight there. Now these are highlighting and not being processed because it was just raw text in the buffer, just the same as down here. But if I reload, now we can see it seems to be doing what one might expect. We can go through there. This is wrapping around, that's wrapping around, that's wrapping around. In this situation, that looks dumb. If it was in a lorem, if it was at the end of a paragraph, that would be better. Those are hidden anchors that are still working the same way. Those ones don't get pulled properly, and that is intriguing. What was special about that one as a hidden anchor value? Oh, because the source file is broken. Oh, I forgot to add a pipe on that one and a pipe on that one. So, yeah. Thank goodness. Okay. Some text, some text, some text. So those all work. And those are just testing the variations of it's just some text with an ID value and implied leading ID value. And those all work and they have spaces in them. So that is actually pretty good for purposes of that. And I think the only place, maybe I can't search it that way. Oh, sorry, anchor. The only place anchor is used as a variable, if I search for anchor, is here in the help header, where we know it's going to always be a file name. So let's look at this. It's capturing. We can actually, first of all, go ahead and inline this directly in here instead of using the variable and remove that variable entirely. And is hidden anchor used anywhere? No, so we can remove it as well. And we're going to reload that. Again, this is the meta.anchor in a help header. In the help header, the link is always, the anchor is always for the name of a file. So let's say we don't need to check for these. We definitely don't need to check for a non-breaking space because hopefully there aren't those in file names, but even if there are, we don't care. And we don't care about spaces anymore. So you just want an asterisk that isn't followed by another asterisk or a vertical pipe, followed by anything that's not an asterisk, vertical pipe, or space. So let's see. The first thing is the punctuation that starts it. That's that part. That's the punctuation that ends it. So this is the internals of the regular expression. Now let's see. The first character needs to be something that's not an asterisk or pipe. The next character has to be something that's not an asterisk, a pipe, or a space character. 0 or more of those. So actually, I think what we probably want to do is that and change this to a plus. Because asterisks and pipes, well, literally can't appear in file names. Windows and Linux will allow you to do it. Terrible idea. Windows is definitely going to be unhappy with you. I don't think it's as smart about that. So a header anchor in a header matches an asterisk followed by one or more of anything that isn't an asterisk or a pipe followed by an asterisk. So that right there is doing some work here on the anchors, and we want to do the exact same thing for links. As we can see, those currently aren't popping as links there. So we can actually come on down to anchors and copy that to here. And now, instead of searching for that, we search for a vertical pipe. And this should be string, sorry, all of the string dot unquoted in these three should be storage so that they're red. And it should be punctuation dot link dot begin, punctuation dot link dot end, and this should be meta dot link. And this rule can completely go away. And now we can see those are highlighting, and they, well, I mean, that happens where previously white space in under an anchor in a link, or sorry, white space under a link would have the underline covering the whole thing. Now it's not. Is this text in the middle not? No, it's totally meta.link. Apparently you can't apply a region to white space. That's perhaps unfortunate, but by no means a reason to do something dumb. Now, there's going to need to be some code changes potentially here, because now it's possible for an anchor like so. This anchor contains an embedded new line. That's probably not something that we're interested in having in the general case, because you would have to have a new line in the JSON file or a quoted new line. And again, you don't want to make people do that to be able to anchor to your thing. So for the purposes of this, we actually need a slightly better test, but we should probably do it in the appropriate file, which is down here. And oh, actually, let's edit the help index for this thing and jump it over here. Just temporarily, help files test.txt. So that's one topic. We want sample as a one-word topic, and as another topic, we want another sample as 2 words, and this is a second sample topic. Okay, so second sample topic, like so. And now we want to edit this file. So we want to say first just an anchor that is sample topic with regular spaces in it. We might actually need more than one of these now that I'm thinking about what it actually is I want to test. Let's get rid of all of those for the time being. And we want a link to sample topic, like so. That's, oh, sorry, first we want just sample, right? And a link to sample. That's that one, that works. Here is, both of these should be another sample. Now something to test is, what if this is split over a new line? And we're going to do this a couple of ways. First is that way, and the second is this way. And gosh. U.settings get trim trailing white space on save, I believe is the name of the setting. I wish that I knew what that setting was. Trim automatic white space? No. Oh, it's 2. Well, I have historical blindness for knowing whether white space should be 1 word or 2. Okay, so we're going to set the value of that temporarily to false. So it doesn't happen in this particular view. So that didn't change anything. Now, here's what we're going to see. That one links to sample and it works. This one links to, it references a topic that doesn't appear in the help index. This one also, oh, actually, hey, look, now there is lines under there where there wasn't before. That's weird. This one, whoops, I Chihuahua, move that over there. Okay, the important thing to note is this one has a trailing space there, so it's another space new line sample, and this is another and then space sample. And if I copy this one and do it this way, I think we'll see something different there, perhaps. No? New lines need to be converted into spaces. Okay, that is something I knew about. So we want to look up help topic. That's this thing. When you call this to look up a topic, which is what everything in the whole system uses, it case folds the topic, replaces all white spaces with non-breaking spaces. Or sorry, replaces, I think, all non-breaking spaces with white spaces. Because in the index, which is here, this is always just a regular white space, but in the file, it wouldn't be. So that part doesn't need to happen any longer. Here's something I want to test. X equals A/NB. Okay, so if I print X, there's definitely a new line in there. Now if I said X.split, I get that. Okay, so that is absolutely perfect. So what we're gonna say is we should take the topic, we should case fold it, so anything uppercase in the topic you look up goes to lowercase, because the index normalizes the index to lowercase, except for aliases, which is a bug, but that's neither here nor there. Now, instead of doing that replacement, we instead want to split the line, and we want to do that, I think. So case fold the topic, split it at white space, then join it. So however much white space there is, all the white space is removed, and then everything is put back, so there's exactly one in the middle. Did that seem to load? It did. Let's see if that changes anything over here. Doesn't seem like it did, perhaps. Unknown help topic, another sample. Well, this is something that I thought would be a little more. Okay, there must be another place that's doing that. That's not lookup help topic. /u. Okay, let's search for 00A0 in hyperhelp. There's a few places where this might happen. That's in the syntax, we don't care. Get topic metadata, replace. Does that replace call work in the other order? It might. Oh, whoops. It's stir.replace. That was dumb. Ba-ba. Return a copy of the string with all occurrences of old replaced by new. Oh, so this is actually... Oh, that's unfortunate. I thought that was going in the other direction. So the talk may... Oh, it's really... Index doesn't work. Oh, dang. Well, this is a more involved thing. This is exactly why I wanted to do this now before trying to put it into a dependency, because once it's a dependency, all these code changes require a lot more stuff. So let's go ahead and look at these things. What is this? It's importing topics. It's replacing spaces with non-breaking spaces. So the non-breaking spaces, yeah, this indeed could be a lot cleaner. That's not what that's talking about there, though. So in the index, we don't want to do the replacement. We want to do name.casefold.split, and again, do space.join on it. Compress all runs of more than... Okay, no, don't do that. Say normalize white space that appears in topics so that only a single white space character appears wherever there might be two or more in a row. And realistically, we could probably be smarter about that and only do it if there was a space in the thing, but... And down here, for new name in alias list. Ah, see, here's the bug in the aliases. They don't have a case fold in them. Let's copy that and put it here. And what's the last one? Look up. Okay, so we do not want to do this because the ones in the index now have spaces in them and not non-breaking spaces. So we don't need to do that. We can just look for an alias. A string looks up the topic directly. Oh, right. This is for generating the table of contents. Yeah. So we don't want that, but that part's okay. Use captions for the topic being referenced if not overridden. We don't need to replace spaces with non-breaking. Whoa. We'll worry about that one in a second. So if I reload, whoa, okay, it's unhappy now. Variable topic referenced before assignment. Let's reload it so I can see the error because something went a little hinky there. In run, in help info list, package none, in help index list, in scan help packages, in load help index, in get talk metadata. In line 173 at line 150, which is this one. Oh, what did I just take out of there? Right. Those should both be entry. because this was using the entry that you provided, replacing spaces with non-breaking spaces to use as the topic, and then looking up the alias using the entry as the default value so that if it's not found, it can try and find it by name. Okay. That seems to be okay, except talk for hyperhelp is missing topic file header. So the table of contents handling code is busted, which I believe is this part right here. These are the messages I'm referring to. But this part's working now, so that link works. Another sample, unable to link to topic another sample. Okay, but it thinks it should work, but it doesn't. Because they have new lines in them. Little bit more to be done there. So use the caption for the topic being referenced if it's not over. So the topic is replacing spaces for non-breaking spaces dot casefold. No, we don't need to do that, but we do need to do that thing that we have been doing. So let's jump over to Smurge here for a second so I can see. Yeah, just to copy it to see, because the variable names changed somewhat, like so. So this is the situation where we say entry topic. We don't need the replace. We do need the case fold. Okay, so remove the replace, leave the case fold. Add split to the end, and then like so. Okay. Now the table of contents works again. Those error messages are gone. So a second, that's that actually. Another, unable to find topic, another sample in help file. Okay. Sample always works. Another sample. A second sample topic is another sample. That one never works. So we need to quickly trace through that. Let's do that. Whoops. Find in files one more time. Not for topic though. For that. The only other place it happens is in the syntax, so that's good. Let's commands for hyper help navigate command for follow link. We're going to do this. Topic dat is topic dat and reload. So what happens when I push enter? Topic is, it's still looking, oh, there's another /x. Oh, is it? Oh, that one's actually broken now because it doesn't have, okay, that's good. That one makes sense. That one we can fix by doing that. So maybe now it works. No. Oh, right. Okay, well, for the purposes of testing, that's not a space either. So there's my issue. See, I had an entry in the thing to do this and I didn't. Oh, gosh, that's embarrassing. Here is a potential issue. Dun, dun, dun. We'll edit this one first to see. Edit. Insert a non-breaking space when spacebar is pressed inside links, anchors, and keybinds. Well, it says that. Keybinds, I guess, are going to have to change too in a similar fashion, but that's okay. So if I did this, uh, uh, da, da. Now you can see that's a non-breaking space. Now it's not, and that, whoops, is a non-breaking space, but now it's not. Okay, that explains why those ones did what they did. So now that one works. And that one works. And that one works. And that one works. Okay, that is a little embarrassing that I had forgotten that. Let's bring that back for just a second so I can make a note of all of the things that need to also be tweaked as a part of this. Which I could probably have looked in the syntax, but you know. I'm going to say links, yes. Anchors, yes. Is it literally just keybinds? Yes. Oh, all right. Well, I guess I didn't need to write that down after all. I probably should have looked. So we don't want that here. And in the OS X version, we also don't want it here. And in the Windows file, we also don't want it here. None of that is actually needed any longer. Okay, and we'll go ahead and zoom that and put that back. Now, the reason why I tested this multiple times, you can see there's multiple stuff happening here. Because we don't want to force the author to necessarily have the trim trailing white space on save option turned on. And in that case, there are several possible situations. One is there's just an inline space like this. That's easy enough. The next is it looks like this. You have the trim trailing white space on save turned on, so you type another space sample, then you go and hit enter. Now, technically, this is something separated by white space. The white space is a single new line character. So you might think, all right, so all we have to do is replace new line characters with space characters, and then this one will become that one. But here, there's a space and then the new line. So if you do that and just turn new lines into spaces, then this one becomes another space sample. Now there's two white space characters in there instead of one, so it doesn't find it anymore. That's clearly not what anybody wants to have happen, right? So now your theory is, try to only replace new lines with spaces if they're not preceded by a space. And in that case, here it would because it's not preceded by a space, but here it wouldn't, and then it would work. But notice that the white space can be on the next line. So now it's another new line space sample. And now you have to try to do something to say that new lines should only be replaced by spaces if they're not bordered on the left or the right by a white space character. So you could probably do that with the regular expression, but for simplicity's sake, we're just saying that what if you we split the string apart at white space characters and then joined it together again? Will that do what we want? Because I believe the magic of some text dot split is it splits it on white space, and if there was multiple spaces in there, it still splits it that way. And if there was a new line in the middle, it still splits it that way. So that's an easier way to pull that off. Now, while we're in the vicinity of this, separators do still need to have that because that's a whole other kettle of fish. But there, keybinds no longer have those. Maybe that's actually not a problem at all. Let's test that here. Maybe I fixed that already. Nope. Okay. It's just a simplistic. That's a comment. A key binding. This followed by not, or that's just a regular space character, right? So let's do it the same way as we would have done it for the anchors. Let's go back to the little sample I had here. So what if we matched one of those immediately followed by a non-capturing look ahead for something that's not an immediate close to this thing? I remember now why this regular expression is awful, because in the general case, assuming that that key binding was there, this would work. You could say Alt plus F1 and it would be something. And if you said Alt plus F1, that would also work. But what if you wanted to do this? Well, that works. But what if the key is Alt and greater than? Then there needs to be magic action in here. So that is sort of something tricky. Let's see if we can pull that off just right here. And that's one, and that's another. That one's currently working. That one's currently not. 10 is 10 greater than 5. Just so that we don't have potential things. Let's say if we have a less than character that is followed by something that's not immediately one of those. Actually, does that even matter? Those auto pair. So we actually want, I guess we don't mind if that's the case. Just let's say not. Let's say it has to be either one of those or a word character. How about that? And if that was the case, then the scope of that should actually be punctuation dot definition dot keybind dot begin dot help, and it should push into something with a the meta scope is it also has to have variable dot language, I guess, so that it still appears orange. Variable dot language meta dot keybind as the metascope, and to see when it's time to pop out. What are we looking for to know that it's okay to leave? We are looking for one of these that is followed by anything that's not one of those in a positive assertion. comment those ones out for the time being. Woo! Look how unhappy that is. End pattern with unmatched. Well, it's clearly this one it's unhappy about. End pattern with unmatched parenthesis. Oh, sorry, it's wrong. It's mad at this one. There we go. So now spaces can appear in key bindings, but that still works the way one might expect. That does not, because you can't have a space there, but that works. You can have as many of those as you want at the end. Is that an issue? I don't know. That's maybe something that can be addressed. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, that's totally new lining wrapping around. That is also what we expect to have happen. Now, just for our purposes, I am going to modify this like this. Reload this file. And now that one's broken. These are in the index, but they're not in the file. Unable to find topic, another sample. Unable to find topic, another. Okay, that's sort of what I expected. And I think that's what I want, but let's just double check. Unable to find. There's two of them. Unable to find help file, unable to find topic. This is in show help topic. If it didn't find the topic, it displays what it was unable to find. And let's see. It calls lookup help topic on the actual topic. So it would say unknown. There's two ways that this could go wrong per se. One would be this. Okay, that's clearly broken there, right? But notice, oh, sorry, I need to do that. If I do this, it says unknown help topic another because it can't find it. In these cases, it's trying to show you exactly the topic that you provided. Now, actually, in fact, we can see it's actually splitting it across multiple lines here. I don't know that this is something that I necessarily want to fix here because I really like the idea of it telling you exactly what topic you tried to find that it couldn't find without doing any manipulations on it. Like if that was all uppercase, then it would say the same thing. I mean, the easiest thing to do would be to manipulate topic right at the top before it even gets in there. But then it's harder to trace problems. So I think we're going to leave it well enough alone on that. So what do I have here? New anchors, yes. New links, yes. Accidentally. New keybinds, yes. Fixed topic lookup, well, it seems to work. What we can actually do is do this. Whoops. Oh, sorry, I need to edit close that one and edit this help index and lint it. Okay, so now there are other issues. Okay, these are all broken for that exact, everything with a space in it. As you can see, those are all non-breaking spaces. So all of the help files for Snappy are currently broken as a result of that. Which actually leads into the next, well, I guess all of the ones with spaces in them, I should say. So in the file, these aren't in the index because in the index they're spaces, and here in the index they don't appear in the file because when it looks them up, it's also not performing that same translation. And when it links to them, it can't find them because they're not in the index with that. So that fixes the top three things. The next thing that needs to be fixed there is the linter to actually give us a better error for that. So let's go ahead and do that as well. I think I had a couple of ideas. Lint anchors and links to make sure they don't have tabs or non-breaking spaces, and lint anchors to be mad if there's consecutive white space because because of the index. So what classes do we have in here? Linter base, help link linter, help anchor linter. Okay, let's do that one first. So it's valid. It looks up the we already know from our own experience that, okay, what this is doing is grabbing the anchor out of the file, then splitting it into the topic ID that it goes to and the text that's associated with it. Then it tries to look it up and it validates it, and the validation, close the panel for a second. If it starts with underscore and it's not that one, get mad. If it didn't find it, say we couldn't find it. If it's not in the file, whatever. We already know all of those errors trigger in cases where the topic in the file has an ID that uses a non-breaking space. So we actually want to maybe inject a second test in here. And now I'm wishing that I I might need to jump to smudge that. So I can say if that in topic, or, well, I'll do it. I'm probably missing something simple here for determining if there's an easier way to see if there's multiples of, yeah. I don't know if there's a way to do this in one way. Like the C equivalent would be stir, stir, chur. If any of these if this character appears, or stir, stir, if any of the characters in this string appear in that string, then we can return. Okay, what would we add? We would self.add in this view with a severity of, well, let's say error for file name at pos.begin, and the message is topic %s contains non-breaking spaces or tabs. And we are going to pass topic, and we are going to return in that case. What was mad there? File manager was mad. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't care about that. So if I lint it now, oh, I can't return. I need to continue. Oh, that's stupid. That's why it's invalidate. Actually, I guess we could do it in validate right at the top, couldn't we? Yeah, let's do that. That actually fits nicer with the design of this thing. So that this part still looks, whoops, identical. And here we just say this. If that's in topic or that's in topic, then we return error and this contains dot format topic that ends the format call that ends there. Okay, now about now. Oh, how about we reload that? Lint. Example plugins contains non-breaking spaces, contains non-breaking spaces, contains non-breaking spaces, appears in the index but not in general, appears in the index but not in general. All right. Now, are those all of the errors we were seeing before? I think so. Because the anchors, we were getting warnings about them in multiple ways there, not being in the index and not appearing in the file in the same thing. So let's go ahead and let's do this. That's just a space now, and that's just a space now, and those are both spaces now. So if I was to lint, that seems to have resolved the issue. And again, what were the example plugins say? So this one I think shouldn't work right now because it's, oh no, I guess example plugins works, but error checking is spelling is turned on. Plugin lifestyle cycle still works. Unit and coordinates still works. And those are probably the only things that actually have spaces in them in here. I am willing to believe that. So that's one thing. Lint anchors and oh, it also has to do the same thing in links. Which is the part where I would have thought, okay, those have non-breaking spaces in them, right? So how is this actually working now? Again, if I lint this, I'm going to quit and restart just to get things into a clean state. Okay, so see, now I'm a little confused about why that still works. If I look for this, we only find it in the syntax. Normalize new lines, normalize new lines. I'm not going to lie, I'm somewhat conflustered as to why that is the case. Because it should be looking it up with the non-breaking space and not finding it now, right? Wasn't that the whole point? Well, that's in general example plugins. That one still works. Plugin life cycle, that was one of them too, right? Yeah. general life cycle still works. Well, I'm going to have to. Do I still have that print? Yes. And it's actually saying it there now that I actually look at it. So, is this still doing something that it's not supposed to? It's calling help index list get, then it calls lookup help topic. How is it finding it? Is the $1,000 question. Let's close that file because we don't need it. Well, let's just go ahead and, for our purposes, go down to linter in validate, do here. Just to be able to catch when that's happening. So now this should be an error, even though it seems to work just fine. So that's the lint change done. So I'm just gonna, so let's see, lint anchors and links for no tabs and non-breaking spaces, and lint anchors for no blocks of consecutive white space. Why only anchors for that one? Yeah, it's this one. If is in the topic, contains consecutive white space characters. I'm trying to remember why I thought that was. Because they'll be broken, right? If the anchor defined in the file if the ID defined in the file has multiple white spaces in it, that's a problem because when you follow the link, the split join will coalesce multiple consecutive white spaces into one like we just saw, and then it won't be able to find it. So that should be something that we test for too. Oops. Stop pressing the wrong key. I think I never do it. Okay, but that doesn't actually happen yet. However, jump to topic in history list. User help index. One more. Nope. Nope. Test help file. That one. I went one too far. Okay, that's here. So if I said sample topic like so, and I tried to lint this help file, sample space topic contains consecutive white space characters. Another sample wasn't found. Link references unknown topic. Another new line samples. Another new line sample contains non-breaking spaces or tabs. Does it now? Yes, it does. So that was an example of something that wasn't supposed to work, but actually did. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's reload that file and see what we get now. Hey, look, there's a unable to find topic, another space sample. Okay, so that one. This has gone a little off the rails, man. Why is it doing that? 'Cause that underline is on the new line. Huh. Okay, so this one is now not found. This is actually a little trickier than I thought it was going to be. This is not the first time that I've had that particular thing. Okay, now that one's actually broken because it doesn't have, there actually is no another samples. So doing that is enough to fix that one, right? And I mean, it's a valid-ish link. Is it? I'm not sure that it is. I am so confused right now. Whoops, that was not what I meant to do. Another sample is in the list, but on the, okay, well, that's obviously a symptom of the exact same problem that we're already having. Because that's regular space. That's regular space, but it still doesn't work because it can't find topic another sample in the help index, even though that topic is right there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, we won't worry about problems with that for now. Sample space-based topic contains consecutive spaces. Another sample wasn't found, and that doesn't match. Another space sample appears in the index, but not in test.text. Is that the whole reason why that wasn't working? Because of that? That's okay, so that works. That works. Still works. Still works. This one? That one still works, but looks dumb. So maybe don't do that. I'm still slightly. I'm surprised you can underline the new line, but not a space. This is why I always have the trim trailing white space on save value set to true, incidentally. I don't like that sort of thing. That looks better. Now it looks just like that one. And the test is invalidated, but that's okay. So that. So the real question then again becomes, if we go far enough forward, I guess. Oh, I can't because I followed a topic. Oh. There we go. We want to jump to the index. Why does this work when it is looking up that? So we're going to close that file and we're going to leave that open. Let's do this just to see what the topic is in this particular point. Now, I'm willing to bet this is a ridiculously simple thing. Topic is example plugins. And yeah. So if that's the topic that's in the thing, which makes sense, then the question becomes, is it in the index that way? Is that why? Is this the index for this? Did we already check this? That is clearly not. That is clearly not. That is clearly not. I'm going to reload that index, and from hyperhelp.core import help index list and get example plugins. Oh, is it help topics? So in the index, it's stored with spaces, and if you look it up with spaces, it works. But if I was to do, well, that's a bad example of that. If I was to do this, copy that character, paste it here. Now we can see that. Now it doesn't find it. That is what I would expect. Cable is acting a little weird on this thing tonight. So there's obviously something that I'm missing here. What does this do? Yeah. So again, reload that help. When I double click it, the topic data is definitely with the A0 in it. Let's search for A0 in HyperHelp. Why are we only seeing it there? There must be more places that it appears. This is definitely in help. Excuse my yawn. It has been a long day. And okay, we're extracting the scope. Yeah. For some reason, that works. Talk metadata, file metadata. Da, da. That's aliases. So store it into topics. Default caption. This, I think, is proving that the topic in the index doesn't have the /a in it. Which is 100% what I would have expected. So, what else did we change here? You get the table of contents metadata. It used to replace spaces with the non-breaking space, but now it doesn't. So your topic is just the entry looking it up, and it returns the topic and the dictionary. Hmm. Looking it up by alias. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm gonna back that up. It says that and it says that. Now, again, this is for looking up the table of contents. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that that is okay the way it is. Like literally, yeah, that's if you look at the table of contents way down here, and I don't think this file actually has an example of it because it's a pretty complex table of contents. It's possible instead of specifying a topic to just use a string like index.text and it would infer the topic is that string and that the caption is whatever lookup for that is. So that one is neither here nor there. Normalize white space that appears. So this is actually importing the topics. And for the topic entry in the list of topics, get the thing, get the caption, get the aliases. Oh, hang on a second here. Caption is default caption or, so that this is something that we changed. Oh, stop doing that, panel. We used to replace spaces with non-breaking spaces, and then case fold it. But now we case fold it, split it, and rejoin it to make sure the new lines work. Get mad if it's an alias. Get here. If, oh crap. /u00a0. Well, nuts. Okay. And if I reload this index, that does not seem to be triggering, which I'm not surprised. Okay, so we really just have to trace this. If, whoops, in contains an NBSP. We'll do that and we'll come over here and back it up. And okay, so the topic clicked on to definitely contains a non-breaking space. So perhaps view settings.get. I don't think that's a thing. Oh, yes, it is. Right. They're in oh, sorry, that's the links. That's not what we want. We want nav. My bad. In the file general.txt, the first anchor is that one. Anchor at 1. That clearly, oh, if I did this, go away. Plugin lifestyle has a space. Example space plugins, unit space and space coordinates. So in there, oh, because, all right. Question answered. This works because the text that you click on isn't actually what's looked up. Um, when you double click on a link, even though that has a non-breaking space there, I guess the next question is how it ends up in the links. But the reason that this works is because it knows this is the first link. And if we did this, the very first link is to the topic example block plugins. Like that is the topic. That's where that's coming from there. Gee, I had it there for a second. It extracts the scope of the point to get that. It calls get link topic. And get link topic in the help view in the link region says, okay, well, based on that, the entry for this one is this. So that's what topic dat is. And if it's not none, the topic is that, and the package is that. Then we do that. Topic dat is that. Topic is that. And as again, when we double click it, we can see it saying it contains a non-breaking space. The topic data is that. The topic is that. But the real question then is, why does show help topic not bail in this case? It's line 229. Help index list for the package. If it's none, return. Lookup help topic. Lookup help topic seems to be returning something that we would expect. So let's throw in a print, well, not there, here. Looking up, and what we're looking up is the topic. So back up the help view. There are all kinds of, why did it look them all up? Is the perhaps question of the day. Oh, because it's looking them up for the hover, like so. Okay. So it's looking it up, and it's looking it up with a non-breaking space. So it's definitely doing that. Package info is not none. So we're going to say print topic and alias and reload a lot of those. Now back that up. There's a bunch, and again, why are, right. Okay, so the topic clicked on contained a non-breaking space. The topic data is that. The topic is that. Topic is example plugins. Looking up example plugins, and it actually found it. Again, let's look at that one more time. I'm going to, do I have the clear in here? No, I don't. I'm going to do this and back that up. Oh, sorry, I should have did that first. Add a big whack of space, and then We look back all the way to the top. So the topic clicked on contained a non-breaking space. The topic data was that package with 0xa0. The topic is example plugins, which is what this said. And the alias is none. Then it's looking up the next thing. So what we need to know is what package info help topics get this returns. And I bet you we're going to find something unhappy here. Print found and that, and it's going to bother me if that doesn't have a space and that doesn't have an O. Reload, back up. Now there's even more crap here, so we need to really clear that. And whoops. And there we go, way back up. It found that. So am I led to believe alias is nothing or topic? So it looked up topic. The topic, here's where the brain boggles. We clicked on something that contained a non-breaking space. The data in the buffer, as far as it's concerned, is that, which means that the topic is this with the non-breaking space, and it's looking up non-breaking space, which is that. It has a package, so it looks it up. Sorry, it coalesces all of the white space out of the topic case, folds it, and it looks up to see if there's a topic with this that associates with the alias and prints the topic and the alias. And the topic is example plugins with a space and an alias of none, and then it works. So if it's looking up that, am I led to believe, and maybe this is where my head is going wrong. Okay, if I do that, we see that string. It actually can split on that as a non-breaking space character. Okay, thank God. I'm not going absolutely insane. That actually that does what we expect. Okay, so let's clean that. Let's actually jump over here. We don't want that. We can discard that hunk. So we modified the syntax. And embarrassingly, now that I think about it, I knew that at some level, I knew that parts of Python treat the non-breaking space as white space. Not all of them, but some of them. Because it causes a problem when you have something like that and you try to wrap it, it would find the non-breaking space and treat it as white space. And that was an unhappy circumstance, all told. So there. So let's just double check. I don't know exactly how we might want to check all this stuff in. Check this one in first. We are in the syntax tweaks to say modify anchors, links, and keybinds to allow spaces. Okay. Where previously these constructs required the use of a non-breaking Unicode space character in order to have visible white space. The match rules, have now been extended. Instead, the only rule in play is for white space is that it can't immediately follow the token that opens the construct up. Okay, and we are going to stage just the syntax. Sorry, is now. That it, this should hopefully, well, I can't type, be way more intuitive than it used to be, while at the same time not causing an ambiguity in most cases. Clearly there's still a problem if you want to type an asterisk followed by an underscore or a letter when you don't mean it to be an anchor. There's not a lot I can do about that. And so that's the changes made in the syntax, which actually, I guess, tweak this. We no longer need that line in there. So just to verify, we no longer need the rules for anchor and hidden anchor. The help header just matches something specifically, which again can be changed in the future as needed, because I have other things I want to do there, like have the ability for an ellipsis. A key binding used to be a single match. Now it is a context, so that it can even wrap multiple lines, not just white space. And now links, instead of being something that isn't followed by a pipe or an asterisk, a space, or a non-breaking space, it's used as a context. Ditto for anchor and hidden anchor. We're going to stage that file and commit that change. Next thing to do is this, which is all the places where, and again, the gist of this code is this is the Unicode escape sequence for a non-breaking Unicode white space. We always assumed the buffer contained those characters and the index just had regular spaces. So as the index was loading, it would case fold things and replace spaces with non-breaking spaces, so that in the loaded index it appears the same as it does in the buffer, which means it could just grab the text from the buffer and use it directly. We no longer need to do that because it's actually possible to have white space. So we've replaced that. So let's just double check those where it used to be replacing spaces and case folding it. Now it's case folding it, splitting it at white space, and rejoining it, which also coalesces more than a run of more than one white space into one. This is the exact same thing, only slightly longer. Perhaps begging for the ability to have that as a method. For looking up the entries in the table of contents, it used to have to do the same thing, because you would find a space in the table of contents string and it would convert it to that before the topic coming in would be the entry where the white space characters are converted to non-breaking spaces. Then it tries to look it up by alias, with the default being the topic that it actually was if there isn't an alias, and then it returns the information for that. So it used to have to convert white space into this because that's what it appears like in the buffer and that's what the topic appears like. Now it doesn't need to do that, so it can just get from the aliases list the entry with the default of the entry. Now, what does that actually mean? That's the same as this line here. This is the value that it's looking up in the dictionary, and this is the value that you get if the dictionary doesn't contain this value. So if the dictionary doesn't contain the entry, return entry, otherwise return the actual topic. This is how aliases get turned into the actual help topic that they reference. And again here, instead of taking the topic, replacing the space with a non-breaking space and case folding it, we can just coalesce all the white space out. So we can stage this file and say remove all redundant NBSP space handling in index. Where previously the index was written on disk to have previously the index source file used spaces to represent white space in topics, and that was changed to a non-breaking space character on index load so that it would match the contents of the actual help buffer. This is no longer needed. Now the help buffer can contain regular white space, which matches what the index already contains. So there's no need to fiddle with it. In the place of that, we ensure that we coalesce sequences of two or more white space characters into a single one. Since it's now possible for anchors and links to straddle line boundaries, and new lines are white space. Okay. And the last fix is, what is this thing doing? And looking up help topic. Oh, that should actually be part of that same change, shouldn't it? Let's go ahead and verify. That's all we were doing. This also tangentially fixed a problem with aliases being case sensitive, I think. There's a place where there wasn't a case fold and there should have been. Or at least that's what I thought. Let's double check. Because maybe aliases still are. Maybe that was part of a fix that didn't actually make it. That one has a case fold. This one has a case fold, and it used to. Make caption doesn't, but it used to. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the one. Alias is already a topic. So that's the one where it used to just do the conversion, but it needed to case fold it too. So an alias would actually be uppercase. So if everything else was expected to be case folded when it's looked up, bad things happen. So that is all of those changes here. Now, actually, there should be, while I'm thinking of it, one more change. Can we go all the way back to, no? Dang. All right. Here, let's go ahead and clobber out all of that. Now, what exactly was it I was just thinking of that is something that we care about? Actually, we want to. Now, we're going to come up with our own. Now, it's possible to say this, right? And when the file is loaded, that. Now, previously, no white space at all was allowed in this thing, so this works. But now white space is allowed. As a result, that's a potential issue. We're going to leave that alone for now because the syntax needs to be hella smarter about detecting white space stuff. This was a quick run on it. This thing needs to be way cooler. Um, so maybe I don't need to worry about this right now. But right now, this does mean that if you parse the value of this, the ID is that. Now, I think as a matter of fact, if I did this, um, ID of one, the ID, sorry, the topic. Let's see, we'll do it this way. Topic ID is this. Okay, and then I reload this. Oops. The text stays the same. And now we can see that the first anchor is test.text and the second anchor is something with the ID. Test ID is this with a space trailing it because of that trailing space. So one way to fix that would be to trim leading and trailing space off of that, and we need to trim leading space off the text. This is actually something I think that we can fix if we searched for parse anchor body. See if there's a colon in there, then it does this, otherwise it returns that. So if there's not a colon, then the ID value is the same as the anchor body and it just returns it. And we already know the anchor body in that case can't contain a leading space character because that's not valid, right? The ID can never contain a leading space because if it did, it wouldn't be recognized. Secondly, so it's possible to do that. It's not possible to do this because it's not recognized as an anchor, so it wouldn't be processed. That always has to be there. So what are the possibilities here? The first is the way we expect. The second is topic, and maybe there's some white space and then some text like so. And there can be trailing white space here if one so desires. And there can be topic and white space with trailing, or it can be this. Okay, so some of those will work and some of them won't. The topic can never have leading white space, so we never have to worry about that because if it was, the syntax wouldn't detect it. But it can optionally have trailing white space if one so cares, it can have it and the syntax will work, but we don't want it. So if we were returning a two-tuple for the ID and the text, then we can rtrim this. Is that a thing? No, rstrip. Seriously, I never get that right. Okay, like so. So now the ID value always has trailing white space on the right removed. So if I did this, oh, these all have the same thing. I'm gonna have to tweak it. Hang on. Oh, and now I just reloaded the thing. So let's take that out temporarily. Now this has to be topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, just so that these all have unique ID values. So here we can see topic 1, topic 2 has a space on the end, topic 4 doesn't, topic 3 does. So if I redo that, now when I reload the page, all of the, that did not do anything. Oh, right. Because it's our strip. Did I just get through figuring that out? Yeah, so it had a problem. Okay, now we try it. Okay, and if I do that, topic. Well, that's still not, what the balls, man? All right, what if I just do strip? How about that? Maybe I didn't reload the code. Okay, that works. Let's go ahead and do that just to double check that I'm not insane. Oh, maybe it wasn't loading the help file as much as I thought it should. Okay. So the trailing space on the topic is not something that we should allow, so we're going to trim that off. Now, when it comes to the text, clearly it's important that the left side not have any white space. And again, in a case where it was just topic 5 like this, it would abut. And topic 6, if we had one of those implicits on there, would look like that. That's not valid. Maybe that is, and maybe you think that's readable. So turn off spell check and that thing again. We need to left strip the anchor body text like so. And then when it's loaded, maybe when we load the code first and then load the topic. Trailing space in the anchor still in the text still ends up there. Now, here's the ultimate question. Should we strip that too? Because if we're not allowed to have space at the beginning, maybe you don't want to have space on the right. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe we want to just do that. Because at least at some perspective, it seems like for orthogonal purposes, if you're not allowed to have white space before the asterisk, even though it's allowed afterwards, if you're rewriting the topics like this, maybe make it work the same on the left and on the right. And that'll solve problems like being able to navigate to this wouldn't have worked previously because unless the topic also had a space on the end of it. We also need to do, I think, the exact same thing with links. And there'll be more stuff here. So let's try these all out. First, there can just be text. Okay, there can't be space text, but there can be text space. And this means use the default package and use an ID that's the same as this. There can be a leading colon. There can't be a space. There can be a colon, then a topic, then text. That would be topic 1. Let's say that's text 1. Well, no, let's say this is topic 1. This is topic 2 with space. Topic 3 just sort of looks like text. Then you might also have space topic 4. These can actually all be the same because links are cool. Yeah, what the hell am I doing? Okay. So that'll work, that'll work. Now you could have a leading space and just say topic and then colon text. Again, you can't have a space there, but you can have one here. You might want to split it up like that and say text. And you might want to say topic space colon space text. And you might also want to do it like that. Now, some of those work and some of those don't. Maybe, just maybe, we modify this to say sample. Okay, so let's do that. And we can stay sample, so we can actually follow the thing. And actually, we can even test this. We can not have a space, but we can say the topic is sample, space, 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 colon, space, 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 space. This is the sample anchor, space, 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 save, reload. Now it just says this is the, oh, it should say what I thought it should say. Now this one goes there. This one also goes there for perhaps bizarre reasons. I wouldn't have not have expected that to be the case. That works, that works, that works. That one's not going to work, and that one's not going to work. The second one has trailing space, which means the topic for that one, and again, if we did HH links in order, the topic is sample. The topic is sample with a space. Are we stripping? Oh, maybe that's accidentally working because of this. Trailing. Okay, so that is actually okay. Trailing space will work on the topic in that case, because when we coalesce all of the white space out of it, unless there's something after the white space, all that trailing white space goes away. That's actually very clever. I like that. I still like the idea of the topic in here is like quote unquote wrong. I don't like that. If there's only one, then splitting on colon is one. That's that. So that's this one here. We'll test this one first. And we'll do that and dot strip. Here's the theory. We don't need to. We can rstrip that one, and we can actually rstrip both of these, can't we? I think that is. Oops. Oh, that was dumb. Bang bang. Strip. Our timer is going to end up soon, and we never actually got to this part. Took way more time with that debugging thing than I intended it to do, which is an unfortunate turn of events. Now, the idea here is, in the case wherein you try to split on colon and you get one answer, then it's a link like this. And in that case, we already know that it can't have leading space because it wouldn't be recognized as a link. So let's just strip off the right-hand side space. And in this case, the topic and the text are both identical. So we want to strip the trailing space off the topic so that it's correct, even though it'll look up properly. And we want to orthogonalize the anchor to not have trailing white space if it wasn't allowed to have leading white space. So if I reload that code and reload this, that still works. The link still follows in both cases. So that's good. Now for the rest of these, the text automatically gets fixed for some of them. It's not getting fixed for these. And the reason for that is twofold. Because this has leading space here, that's not valid. So at the very least for this one, the text should be stripped on the left and the right, because if there's any white space on the left, it has to be gone to make sure that it's still a valid link when it's generated. And if there's any white space on the right, that should also be stripped away because then it'll be orthogonal. So if I reload the code and then reload the package, those both go and work. And I think we still got something to do here, because if we get links, topic sample, this one still has a space in it. This one has leading space and trailing space. And this one just has leading. Oh, that one might have leading and trailing too. It's hard to say. I guess all of them do in that case. One of them doesn't. Oh, there's the timer. We'll go ahead and stop that. Link 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one just has leading space. Let's go ahead for the ID value. Yeah. Let's give this one trailing space just to be able to verify that. So that one's good. That one's good. That one's good. This one has leading space. This one has trailing space, and the other ones have both. So it's possible for the ID value to have space on either side. And again, that still does what you expect it to do, but we want it to be correct. So we're going to strip that as well. And that'll still, sorry, the code still loads. Help file has reloaded. Those all go to that place when we follow them. And coming back to here, one unstaged file, that's just that. So we're going to stage that. And we're going to say, now, the theory possibly here is that instead of doing this stuff inside the parse, it could be done by the caller. Now that I think about this, everywhere where those things are called, it could do it there. Because perhaps as an authoring tool, you want to generate a warning that says that that is the case. Maybe that's okay. That's something that's interesting. Certainly, it's possible for us to try to duplicate that code in if we ever needed to later. I'm not entirely convinced that as the author of a tool, that's something that anybody would actually care for. Primarily, that's because it'll actually work anyway. So we could make all the places that call parse anchor body call strip on the text and rstrip on the ID. We're already case folding the ID to make sure that the case that comes back is correct. So it makes sense to me to also take care of white space instances so that the caller knows that and can, it has access to the actual text it called us with if it ever cared about that specifically. So let's say, since it's now possible to have internal white space in anchors and in links, it seems like a good idea to modify the code that parses the body of a link and an anchor to strip away the white space characters that might be leading or trailing on any of the parts. In particular, this is important because it's possible to generate a link or an anchor that when rewritten is no longer syntactically identified as the correct type of item due to leaving space. Okay, and then we are going to go ahead and check out branch master and merge branch syntax tweaks with no fast forward. And that brings the last of those. Now, clearly there are still a fair number of syntax problems. We definitely need to do a lot of work in the syntax. These fixes that we just made could also be identified in the syntax by having it be mad if there's white space right before or right after the colons that are special. But we also want to modify the syntax to make those colons special in the syntax so they can highlight. Everything needs to have a better scope. There needs to be syntax tests. A lot needs to be done there. That can happen after the bootstrap part happens. So we're going to go ahead and push master to origin, and we're going to push master to GitHub. And this means that in the Wednesday live stream, if I just pop the calendar up here, the 28th is going to be the last live stream for HyperHelp related and just general Sublime Text package development for the remainder of the year. Certainly the last planned one. Starting here on December 1st and going all the way through entirety of November, there will be one stream a day at the usual time for a minimum of an hour, possibly longer, working on a new package. Expect a video on all the channels in the next couple of days to announce what that is before it comes. That is the goal for tomorrow. And then coming into the new year, we're going to go back to just one live stream a week on Sundays is currently the plan. But we'll see what happens. Maybe there'll be a little bit of a hiatus after 31 consecutive days of live streaming. Who can say? In any case, thank you for watching the stream. If you got this far, remember you can like any videos that I create if you happen to actually like the content and find it useful. Was it useful tonight to see me spend a lot of time tracking down a bug and wondering why it works? Ultimately, we learned something that we might not have known before. So I'm going to call that a win. Certainly, I think it, as I've said many times before, it's definitely important to let people know that it everybody has problems when they're developing and everybody has bugs that they can't solve. And don't get overly flustered. Just think through it logically. You can work out the problem. And so with that, we're going to draw this live stream to a close. Thanks for watching. Stay sublime. Have a sublime day. And I hope the windstorm outside doesn't make my electricity go away or tomorrow is going to be very boring.